As the humid southern air thickened with an unsettling tension, the plantation began to exhibit signs of a creeping malaise. The lush, verdant fields that once thrived under the sun now felt haunted by an unseen presence. Animals began to vanish, only to be found days later, lifeless, drained of blood, their bodies stark against the dark earth like ominous omens. The remaining creatures of the plantation, once lively and vibrant, now cowered in fear, their instincts alerting them to a danger that was beyond the understanding of their simple minds. The workers, once a tight-knit community, whispered among themselves, exchanging furtive glances and hushed tones. Rumors spread like wildfire through the fields. They spoke of shadowy figures moving through the night, gliding silently between the trees, their forms barely visible but unmistakably present. Shadows that seemed to shift and pulse with malevolent intent, casting an ever-deepening gloom over the plantation. Amid this atmosphere of dread, Eleanor's transformation became the most alarming sign of all. Once the vibrant heart of the plantation, her laughter had echoed through the halls, a soothing balm to the workers' weary spirits. Now, she had grown frail, her once bright eyes clouded with an ethereal glaze. Each passing day seemed to siphon more life from her, as if an invisible force was slowly consuming her essence. Eleanor became increasingly withdrawn, retreating to the shadowy corners of the sprawling mansion. Her conversations became rare and strained, reduced to mere whispers exchanged with the walls that seemed to absorb her words. The flickering candlelight would catch her delicate features, highlighting the gauntness of her cheeks and the dark circles that formed beneath her eyes. It was as though a pallor of darkness had settled over her soul. Yet, amid her frailty, a singular obsession took root within her, a fixation on Alucard, the enigmatic figure who had arrived at the plantation with his own air of mystery. The more withdrawn she became, the more drawn she was to him. She would gaze longingly out the window, searching the dusk for a glimpse of his shadow flitting through the trees. Her heart racing with a mixture of dread and desire. As the moon hung low in the sky, casting silvered beams over the plantation, the nights grew longer and more unsettling. Workers would report hearing soft, mournful cries echoing through the fields, the sound intertwining with the rustling leaves and the whispers of the wind. It was said that the cries belonged to those who had been lost to the darkness, souls wandering between this world and the next. One night, a group of workers gathered in the kitchen after a long day's toil, huddled around a flickering lantern. Their eyes were wide with fear as they recounted tales of strange sightings. Old Thomas, the eldest among them, spoke of a figure he had seen gliding through the mist. Pale as the moon, with eyes that burned like embers in the night. "I swear on my soul, it was him. Alucard," he declared, his voice trembling. "I saw him by the old oak, and he was not alone. There were others, shadows dancing around him, as if they were his kin." The others gasped, exchanging worried looks. Whispers of dark rituals and ancient pacts filled the room, a palpable tension hanging in the air like a thick fog. It was clear that the plantation was becoming a nexus of something dark and ancient, a battleground for forces beyond their comprehension. As these fears escalated, so did Eleanor's connection to Alucard. Their encounters, though few, were charged with an intensity that left her breathless. Each stolen glance felt like a silent conversation, laden with secrets and unspoken promises. She was caught in a web of fascination, a moth drawn to a flame, oblivious to the dangers that loomed on the periphery. Alucard, with his dark charisma, seemed to thrive in this atmosphere of fear. He would often appear at twilight, his figure emerging from the shadows, captivating and commanding attention. His presence stirred something deep within Eleanor, awakening feelings she could neither understand nor control. It was as if he were awakening a long-dormant power within her, igniting an inner struggle between light and darkness. As Eleanor's obsession deepened, her dreams grew more vivid and tumultuous. Night after night, she was haunted by visions of a grand, ethereal ballroom, where she and Alucard danced under a chandelier of stars, surrounded by a sea of swirling shadows. In these dreams, she felt alive, powerful and free, yet always shadowed by an inexplicable dread that tugged at her heart. The stark changes in Eleanor's demeanor did not go unnoticed by the plantation's residents. Whispers soon turned to open concern as they watched her retreat further into darkness. The workers banded together, discussing how they might confront this menace that had enveloped their lives. Knowing that Alucard's influence over Eleanor was growing stronger with each passing day, they convened in the old barn, the wooden beams creaking under the weight of their fears. Old Thomas led the discussion, advocating for action. "We cannot stand idle. We must protect her. If this Alucard is a creature of darkness, we must banish him from our home." The group nodded in agreement, but deep down, each knew that confronting the darkness was a dangerous game. Alucard was not just a visitor, he had become a part of their lives, entwined with the very fabric of the plantation's existence. Despite the mounting pressure from the workers, Eleanor found herself torn between loyalty to her family and the undeniable pull of her connection to Alucard. Each day was a battle between her old self and the haunting allure of the new path unfolding before her. She would stand before the mirror, studying her reflection, trying to reconcile the ghost of the woman she once was with the stranger staring back at her. A pale shadow of her former self, eyes haunted yet filled with an unquenchable fire. Eleanor felt an insatiable hunger growing within her, an urge that was not just physical but deeply spiritual. It gnawed at her insides, urging her to embrace the darkness that Alucard represented. The thought terrified her, yet she couldn't shake the intoxicating thrill it brought. It was a siren song, promising power and eternity at the cost of her humanity. One evening, driven by desperation and curiosity, Eleanor found herself wandering the plantation grounds under the pale light of the moon. The air was thick with anticipation, crackling with energy as she made her way to the ancient oak tree, a place where she had often felt Alucard's presence. As she approached, the shadows seemed to ripple and pulse around her, coalescing into the form of Alucard. He stood beneath the sprawling branches, an ethereal figure, his dark eyes shimmering with an otherworldly light. "Eleanor," he breathed, his voice a silken whisper that wrapped around her like a velvet cloak. "You've come to seek me out." She trembled, both terrified and entranced. "What is happening to me, Alucard? Why can't I resist you?" His gaze bore into hers, and in that moment, she felt both seen and consumed. "You are awakening, dear Eleanor. There is power within you, a power that craves to be unleashed. Embrace it, and you will never be alone again." The darkness surrounding them pulsed, and for the first time, Eleanor felt a surge of strength rising within her, a dark tide that called to her very essence. The choice before her was daunting, yet intoxicating. As the shadows enveloped them, Eleanor stood at a crossroads, her heart pounding with the weight of the decision that lay ahead. She could feel the eyes of the plantation upon her, the workers' whispers echoing in her mind, urging her to reject this path and reclaim her old life. Yet, standing in Alucard's presence, she felt a deep-seated yearning for something greater, something far beyond the mundane existence she had known. "Join me, Eleanor," he urged softly, stepping closer, his dark aura enveloping her like a protective shroud. "Together, we can transcend this life, embracing the darkness that binds us both. You have the power to change everything." A whirlwind of emotions surged within her, fear, desire, and an overwhelming sense of destiny. As the shadows twisted and danced around them, she knew that whatever choice she made would forever alter the course of her life and the fate of the plantation itself. In that pivotal moment, Eleanor's mind raced with thoughts of her family, the workers, and the future that awaited them all. The weight of their expectations pressed heavily upon her shoulders, yet deep down, a flicker of rebellion ignited within her heart. She felt a calling that transcended the fear, a siren song that beckoned her toward an unknown horizon. With a shaky breath, she finally whispered, "I will follow you, Alucard. I choose this path, no matter the cost." His eyes gleamed with a dark triumph, and in that instant, the plantation's fate was sealed. Shadows surged around them, enveloping Eleanor in a dark embrace. her transformation marking the dawn of a new era, one shrouded in darkness and destiny. The sun rose sluggishly over the village, casting an eerie glow on the plantation as the whispers of fear and dread thickened in the air. A local doctor, Van Helsing, had just arrived, summoned by the alarming reports of mysterious deaths and strange occurrences that plagued the community. Known for his keen intellect and unwavering resolve, he was determined to uncover the dark truths lurking beneath the surface. As he dismounted his horse and stepped into the village, Van Helsing felt an unsettling tension permeate the atmosphere. The townsfolk cast wary glances in his direction, their faces etched with concern and suspicion. He could sense that something sinister was unfolding, a palpable darkness that clung to the very fabric of their lives. Van Helsing wasted no time in gathering information. He spoke to the workers and listened intently to their accounts of shadowy figures and the chilling discoveries of drained animals. Each story added layers to the growing tapestry of fear, but one name stood out above the rest: Count Alucard. The very mention of his name sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to utter it. Determined to confront the source of the terror, Van Helsing made his way to the plantation, where he hoped to find Eleanor and her father. As he approached the grand mansion, he was struck by its beauty, now tainted by an aura of despair. The towering oak trees stood sentinel, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. Upon entering the estate, Van Helsing was greeted by the sight of Eleanor's father, Lord Hargrove, a man visibly burdened by worry. The doctor wasted no time in expressing his concerns. "Lord Hargrove, I must speak with you immediately. There are dark forces at work here, and we must act quickly to protect your daughter." Lord Hargrove, his brow furrowed and hands trembling, nodded gravely. "I've seen the changes in Eleanor. She's not the same, she's become withdrawn, almost as if she's being consumed from the inside out. And that Count Alucard, I fear he has a hold over her." Van Helsing's heart raced as he pieced together the fragments of information. This is no mere infatuation. Alucard is a creature of darkness, and he seeks to turn her into something far more sinister, his undead bride. The words hung heavy in the air, a chilling proclamation that sent a shiver down Lord Hargrove's spine. "What must we do?" he implored, desperation seeping into his voice.